Alright everyone, welcome back to Street City Studio. I'm John, and today's video we're going to talk a little bit about Thunderbird, John Proudstar. And actually we'll talk a little bit about both of the Proudstar brothers, James Proudstar as well, Warpath. Right? I'm a big fan of the Proudstar Brothers, and I mean, it goes back, for me, I don't know where anybody else was introduced to the character, but my introduction to Warpath was the animated series, the X-Men, the animated series in the 90s, right? Those of us who watch it, or watched it growing up, watched it at any time, really. You'll know Warpath was in the introduction, running alongside the villains when the heroes and the villains meet up there at the end of the intro. And so I always kind of found that interesting, right? As he is kind of a good guy, but he was on the bad guy side of the intro. And I know it could be argued just to kind of even it out, but I don't think it's as simple as that either, right? Because there's a lot to it with, Warpath's introduction, or James Proudstar's introduction as the villainous Thunderbird, right? When he first was introduced, he put on this costume, this Thunderbird costume, and was a villain. But I always liked those motivations, right? His motivations as a villain made sense to me, right? As his brother died, his brother was the first X-Men to die in a mission, right? And so he wanted revenge against Professor X and the X-Men for his brother's death. And I always felt that made a lot more sense than some of these villains and their world domination plots, and turn everybody into lizards plots or whatever, right? But part of what we're talking about here is going to be the costumes, but maybe I'll back up a little bit, right? Hold on. If you don't know, Thunderbird has been reintroduced in the comics as no longer being deceased, and I thought that was really cool. He's been brought back to life in the comics, and now I'm not a big fan of all of this stuff they're doing with the Krakoan Nation and all these mutants being brought back from the dead, kind of just an instant respawn if they die, right? And so now none of the mutants can die anymore, and I think that's kind of a bad plot device. It's a lazy plot device, but I'm kind of excited to have Thunderbird brought back from the dead be one of the things to come out of this, right? Of all the things that can come out of this, this is one that I'm happy with, right? I'm not mad about this. And a big part of it is that costume. You can look at that costume, man. I like it. Let's kind of zoom in here and look. Right? I like that it keeps that. Get this thing up there. There. I like that it keeps that little Thunderbird on the chest. Maybe you can't see it so well here. Let's go here. Right. You can see it keeps that shape on the chest still, but it's in that really nice turquoise now. And I think I like that turquoise on him. It helps him stand apart, right? Because his brother kind of took over his colors, right? Even though I don't have his brother in those colors exactly. And that's one of the figures I'm going to have to get. I have to get that figure, and that's one of the things we'll talk about here in a second. But I really like that he's been brought back, and I really like the redesign. Right? I like the hood, the furry hood. I like that they kept the tassels, right? But they've given him a new color palette and a new look that kind of keeps, right? It keeps the tassels on the arms, and it keeps the Thunderbird on the chest. And I really like that design. It's nice. But now, like I was saying here, here, we'll get Warpath here, right? For Warpath, I have the 2 X-Force figures, right? The 2 X-Force colors, right? With the shinier silver, with the more rounded designs, more matte gray with the sharp squared corners, right? And even the mask is slightly different with the little bit of gray on the nose. See, on the bridge of the nose there. Might even be a slightly different mold, but I can't tell exactly. It might be, actually, because even around his mouth looks a little puckered different. But anyway, so those are the 2 Warpaths I have. And I really need to they have another one. And I don't know exactly which parts it uses, but it's in the red and blue like this. But the pattern is like this. Right? So I need that Warpath figure. And in that whole theme, I was looking through my fodder for a couple days now, because I knew I had this old figure. It was this old Thunderbird figure that I had turned into, and actually I'll put his head on here, turned into an Ultimate Warrior figure. And it's kind of jinky looking now, but you got to keep in mind, I soaked him in water and gave him a little scrub. So some of this funny looking coloring on his torso here, that's from soaking him and scrubbing him. That's not the paint job, right? But when you soak them after you've painted them, that paint starts to look kind of funny in color like that. So don't pay no mind to that. Don't judge my figure based on that. This is a junk figure. I'm not trying to sell it as a good looking figure. But my point was, I've got some spare parts. And so I was thinking about trying to make, get back to that, right? Something like this, right? Because it has the tassels. I've got those tassels here, right? So that leaves me to figure out a head, because I don't, obviously that ain't working for it. And actually, maybe if I peel the hair off and try to start over, maybe. But and another thing of note is that version, this version has more tactical looking pants, right? With the knee pads and the boots, the laces. That's definitely not what I've got going on here. So I don't know what I'm going to do about those yet, but I have an extra. It's the same buck, same height, same build, right? And that also got a really crappy paint job years ago. I have not soaked and scrubbed this one yet, so that's why it's so shiny looking. That's all old attempt at a custom. Old attempt at some sculpting on his legs here to give him like some leg tassels, right? Something like those, right? Just like those kind, I guess, right? But that's, I mean, on that note, that's another version of Warpath that I would like, but that's not going to be able to come out of these custom or these bucks here, because that's going to take a lot of sculpting tassels all the way around this upper torso here, sculpting tassels all the way down the side of his legs there, right? But I did, one of the things I did find, and I was real happy about that, is, where is it? Right here. It took a while. I had found this pretty quickly, but this is his little Thunderbird logo belt. Right? Oh, that's not going to focus here. Oh, I'm knocking it off my hand. Where'd it go? Try and get it in focus. But anyways, yeah, there we go. It's got that little Thunderbird logo on his belt buckle. And at first glance, I didn't think I was going to need it. But the more I looked at the art, you can see he still has that little Thunderbird belt under his vest there. So it would not be okay not to include it, I think. He definitely needs it, as it's one of the things that they translated over, right? The tassels on his arms, the bird logo on his chest, and the bird logo on his belt, right? And I did try to get it on here. I'm going to have to boil it. I tried to get it on here, popped his leg off. Yeah. I think pop a leg off and try and get it on there, but his hips are just too big. I'm going to have to boil the belt, get it real hot and soft, because it will not go on. But I'm still going to have to find a head, find some options for his legs, or make a choice. I was thinking about just leaving the tassels, but I mean, that really throws the look off, doesn't it? I don't know. If I go with the same color scheme, right? If I do the tassels in that kind of yellow or off-white or whatever you're calling that, right? It's been different colors depending on the picture, right? There's like an off-yellow, off-white, and then I've seen pictures where the interior of the hood is a white and the tassels are yellow. But there's a range apparently, right? But so I definitely think I was looking at fodder, right? I was looking at this hooded trench coat thing, and I was thinking about either cutting it off at the waist so that it hangs like that, just kind of peeks out right in the front, but it's not zipped shut, obviously, right? Or I was thinking about just cutting it off right there at the hood, around the base of the hood, right? And then just mounting that up here, and then painting his torso to look like the vest, right? Paint his shoulders the blue, and then have skin tone from here down, right? Oh, I'm dropping his belt. I gotta drop something every video, don't I? But I had some head choices I was looking at. Like I said, I could use that one if I peel the hair off, because I think I glued that hair on there anyways. But I had a Winter Soldier head that has a real similar look, you know. But the hair is obviously way off, right? And I had this one that had a decently young look, like he does kind of there, I think. And make him a little younger looking than his brother now that his brother's aged him out. Kind of like the Blip kids, right? Where's another one? Oh. And I had this Thor head that I was thinking about using. But I feel like that looks kind of older, right? At least that Winter Soldier one looks a little younger, maybe. But I'll pop them on here and we'll look, right? I think this one would be my first choice, but I feel like it's a little softer of a rubber or whatever, softer plastic. So that'll make it easier to work, but it'll also not keep paint as well, right? I suppose I could try real hard to leave that skin tone as is, and so you wouldn't get any paint on there. But I feel like once I sand his hair down, I'm going to have to put some skin tone on there, right? I don't know. I like that head. I like the smirk and that little anime nose, I guess. Has the same kind of look or similar look as that art. Right, just paint his mask red. I feel like I kind of want to use that one. But that's probably the least effective, right, as far as paint and stuff. This one is a very hard plastic, and that's kind of what I mean. This isn't gonna crack. The paint's not gonna crack just from turning his head a couple times, right? The softer plastic, if you put any paint on it, it's just gonna crack every time you turn it. I've had customs I tried to do like that, learn the hard way. Right? So but again, I'm gonna have to shave all that hair off and redo it into a mohawked ponytail. I was thinking about it, right? I was thinking some hair like this, you could just almost assume that it is shaved under there and he doesn't have it back in a ponytail, right? But man, I feel like that's a cop-out. I don't know that I want to do that just because it's a cop-out, you know? Oh yeah, let me get that. I was thinking about a version like that, but like I said, the tassels would be real hard to achieve. So I had thought about maybe going in that direction, right? You could do something like that on this buck. But again, then you're going to have to find some shoulder pads and a different head. I don't have an ideal head for that. Maybe that one, I suppose. Paint a mask and bandana on there, but you could find some feathers or something. But that's probably more down the line. These warpaths will be down the line in the future, right? I'm kind of focused on Thunderbird because of his little rebirth here. I'm pretty happy about that. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the instant respawn when these guys die. That's definitely not my favorite plot device. But I do like the Proudstar Brothers. It's cool to see them back together. Right? Let's give them some bro it up moment. Right? Lock hands here. Oh, his arm gave out. And he's turning away from the camera as I do it. Don't do that. He's gonna fall over now. There we go. There we go. Bro it up, guys. We got this one just hanging out. Hanging out with his knives. Looking salty. But like I said, I don't know where they're going to go with it or if he's going to stay alive. But I'm real happy to see Thunderbird back. It's been a long time coming. I hope they keep him back. Right? You know, some characters, they say comic book characters don't stay dead. But Thunderbird's a good example of characters. I mean, he's been dead for years and years now. Right? Lots of characters have gotten resurrections a lot quicker than him. But I appreciate you guys coming by, talking about the Proudstar Brothers with me. If you want to check me out on Facebook, that's John Wayna. That's Wayna. If you want to check out my photography, I do a lot of toy photography on Instagram. That's Street City Toys. Not Street City Studio like the channel here, but Street City Toys on Instagram. But otherwise, I appreciate you guys coming by. You keep playing with them toys, and you have a good one. I'll talk to you guys soon.